So it's class data set, which is an observable object. When does it become an environment object?
Scene delegate right here. So here, like in the actual app, obviously I'm going to be using Firebase for this. So then I use Firebase, pull up that data, and then I call data set and pass in the data store. So like if you looked at the preview, the data store was actually using that mock one, whereas in this one, I'm actually using the actual Firebase data store. Right. And then data set, pass in the environment object, which is my content view. And then here's where I have my UI hosting controller.
Right. And then, so the first thing I have to do is build a workout struct.
And yeah, I would highly recommend going that way.
Right. And then implementing identifiable. How is that? Does the identifiable protocol just look for an ID variable?
Yeah, and it's generic, so it can be whatever you want as long as it's something that can be unique. So it could be a string, could be a UUID, could be an integer, it doesn't really care. The point being, like, I think what it does is it uses that for when you want to like sort rows, or when it gets new data in, it knows what specific rows to like exchange data for, if that makes sense.
So then you load workouts, and so at what point am I going to be tagging a workout with an
ID? Say that again.
Where would the ID in this workout object get set, get binded?
Well, let me show an example. Is that you or me?
Your screen?
No, I heard a bunch of like static. So here's an ID. So like for the event, you have identifiable, and then I just have a string for the ID. But it can be any, like, does a workout have a unique ID?
The init is where the ID gets set then.
Yeah. Yep. What's it like? Does HK workout have a unique ID?
Yes.
So then just use that.
Right, so ID equals hkworkout.uuid.
Yeah, you could just do that. That's what I would do. Or if you want to keep your property, like it just has to be a get. So like you can make a read-only ID that just uses the UUID of the HK workout. I would copy the values rather than storing a reference to the HK workout, because I'm a little bit paranoid about having references to class objects in structs. And if you want to, like, you should be able to like look up the HK workout based on that ID and update the data anyways, right? Yeah, so that's the way I would do it, is like every time you want to update the HK workout, then look up the ID and then update it, rather than updating within an HK workout as a property of workout, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was my major questions I had.
Okay. Yeah, I could show you how I do stuff with Heartwitch if you want to look. I don't know if you've looked at that yet. Do you want to see that?
Yeah.
So
which object, right, is the equivalent?
Yeah, and what I've done is I've moved everything over to a Swift package. So like if you look at the code on like I have no code in the actual application target. Like everything is just using the package. Like all code has been moved over here. So if we go to like, we have extension delegate, and then we have the app interface storyboard, and then it just references, like, this is nothing. This is just the Heartwitch controller, which is in Heartwitch Kit.
For some future use, or?
Yeah, future use. I want to move the server code over to the Swift package. But the biggest problem that I've had, and you've probably run into this, is both with HealthKit and with the watch. It's a pain in the butt to like do any unit testing. So because A, unit testing isn't supported on the watch, and then B, like I don't want to deal with like actual HealthKit. I just need to like test my own logic. So what I've done is, so here's the controller where I say I need access to workouts and active energy and heart rate. And then that creates what's called a HealthKit authorizer. Everything is like, I've went crazy with like protocol oriented programming. So you like, there is no, if you look at the Heartwitch object, there's actually no reference to HealthKit in here. Because the idea being is like, I don't want to be tightly coupled to HealthKit necessarily. So that way I can create mocks. So we have something called Health Authorizer. So you can see here, request authorization, no reference to HealthKit, right? And then health interface, still no reference to HealthKit. Like you're noticing, like I'm not doing anything with HealthKit really yet. But then when I implement Health Authorizer, I have a separate, a lot of my HealthKit code is separated out because I want to be able to unit test without Apple Watch or without HealthKit being needed, because I don't like, if it works, it works. Like I don't need to test HealthKit working. So like we had talked about this Health Authorizer. So like there's a separate implementation of Health Authorizer that uses actual HealthKit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So then when I, this is super helpful in a lot of ways, because then I can unit test without needing HealthKit or the watch. I actually can run these tests from the command line. So if we go packages and then go to the, we can use Swift packages to test it. So it can run the tests on the Mac, like as a Mac app. And like that tests like most of my code without needing HealthKit or the watch. Because I don't really care, like I said, if HealthKit works or not necessarily. And then what I've done is I've taken out, so let's look at a view. So here's workout setup. I actually don't have a preview here. Let's see if this works. My UI is simple enough. I don't use a lot of previews. Why can't it? Is it this one? Maybe I need to expand this more. I have a preview here. Maybe it's because I have it under a under this preprocessor directive, because I can't compile this on Linux. I actually can like compile it on Linux, but I take out the SwiftUI part when I compile it on Linux. So that's why I have the preprocessor directive in a lot of places. Yeah, that's probably why these previews don't show up right now. So, but I was going to show a mock. Yeah, here we go. So mock Health Authorizer, okay? So now I can like run the app without actual real like reference to HealthKit and just mock the Health Authorizer. So then this returns the, if we look at the real, let's look at the real one. So this one takes in like health authorization. So things like object types, I pretty much have copied them over so that they can be used in any OS without needing HealthKit. And then where's quantity configuration? Health, yeah. Quantity types. So I have basically copied over all the object types so that I can have access to them outside of HealthKit. And then I'll have separate HealthKit HealthKit extensions that will convert them over to their HealthKit counterparts, if that makes sense. So that way I can create like these mocks without needing actual references to HealthKit and other OSs, like the Mac, for instance. I guess what I want to show is kind of like how I've taken it to the extreme of like separating HealthKit out, and allowing me to like unit test stuff outside of the watch or outside of HealthKit for an app that's like pretty much focused on HealthKit and the watch, if that makes sense.